Okay, so I'm just going to go over how to make a melee attack inside Unreal. There's a few things that we're probably going to have to get it set up to start off with. The first thing is we probably want to have an animation to go along with this. So I'm going to open up my animation enumerator, and we've got one for like an idle, run, jump, shoot, hurt, but I'm going to add one in for a melee, just so in our BP we can change it to that. So save that. Other thing that we want to do is set up a Mele Blueprint. So I'm going to right click, Blueprint, Actor, let's call this Mele. And basically all this is going to be is a box that's going to disappear after a split second. So component wise, just type in box. I'm just going to drag that over my default scene route, and in my event graph for this I'm going to say event begin play delay 0.2 should be okay for now, or maybe I'll just go 0.1, and then when that's completed it's going to destroy itself. And we're also going to select a box and say when it begins overlapping it's also going to destroy itself. Problem with this is it might be too big, so what I want to do is just take that melee box in and size it up against an enemy. And I think what I'll have to do is select the box here, go up to the top and just make it half the size in the box extent. So it'll be 16 by 16 by 16. I'll save that, and I can delete that reference. So the next thing I'm going to do is go into my settings, into project settings, into input, and I'm going to make a new action mapping. I'm just going to call this melee again, and I'm going to tie it to the gamepad face button right, which is the B key, or the B button. And then in my character blueprint, I'm going to basically under my shoot one I'm going to right click, type in melee, and because I've set up that action event it should find it. I'm going to get my animation select, I'm going to set it to melee. Remember I changed my enumerator which has melee in it now. I'm going to update my animation, and then from that I'm going to spawn an actor from class which is going to be my melee. And its spawn location is, I'm just going to use this arrow again that I use for my projectile, so that location. So I'm going to grab my arrow, pull that out and type in transform. So get world transform and then plug that into the spawn transform. So now if I go to my game, I just delete this guy, press play. If I press B, you won't be able to see it there actually. What I'm just going to do just to debug this is in my melee, the box component, I'm just going to make sure it's not going to be hidden in game. So I'm going to untick that, compile, press play. So if I press B now you can see that appears. Okay, problem is you can see it starts sliding about, or it keeps on running. So we're going to have to change that. So back to my character, I'm going to add a delay of 0.2 should be okay, and I'm going to set my animation back to idle. So now when I press B, it should not get stuck in that animation anymore. Compile, save that. In my enemy blueprint, what I'm going to do is basically change a part of this on component begin overlap, which is affected by my projectile. So if the class is equal to my projectile, it takes some health. What I want to do is pull out from this boolean, red boolean here at the end, and type in R, and you can see they got an R boolean. So what this basically allows me to do is say if it's a projectile do this, or if it's my melee projectile thing I can do this as well. So plug that in there, instead of projectile, I'm just going to get melee and plug that in there. One last thing is my melee, the collision for the box, I'm going to make sure that it's custom, and instead of world dynamic I'm going to set it to projectile, and it's going to overlap with everything except for the trace responses and the pawn. That should be okay. So if I press play now, hopefully we'll see some blood coming out of these characters. Yeah, so when I press a melee, blood's coming out. I should be able to kill them. Last thing I want to do is tweak the enemies a bit. So when they take, if I go to my health deplete function in my enemy, so when they take a hit, I'm going to actually make a new variable. I'm going to call it hit. It's going to be a boolean. So when they get hit, I'm going to set this to true. And then my event graph, where we're doing the event tick to kind of fire off the direction where he's going, I'm going to pull out a branch from that, and my hit is going to plug into that. So if he's hit true, he's actually going to stop walking, okay, for a delayed amount of time. So maybe 0.5 to start off with. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get that hit and we're going to set it to false. So when it's false, it's actually going to move. So if we play that now, we should be able to hit these characters and they should stop. And to kind of clean this up, what you'd want to do is have another animation for your enemy when it gets hit, so it isn't constantly walking or look like it's walking even though it's not moving anywhere. And in your 2D side scroller player character, you'd also want to go to your animation updates, or sorry, your animation handle animation, and have your melee come off and do a different animation, so like a strike animation or something like that. And then with your enemy, you could take it further where, like your character, if you have done, where I've got two hitboxes set up either side, which kind of determine when it gets hit, what direction it bounces back in. You can do that for your enemy, so if it gets hit a certain way, like it could bounce back and then stop walking for a bit, you know, it would just polish it off a lot more. But that's how you do a basic melee mechanic.